A community member reported this very pregnant cat fending for herself outdoors. It looked like she could give birth at any minute, so she was taken into foster care immediately. Word was spread far and wide, but nobody claimed this incredibly sweet, loving girl. Regardless, she seemed very relieved to be indoors, fed, and safe. She was given the name Chanterelle. A list was made of different mushroom names for the impending kittens, but weeks passed and there were still no kittens. Meanwhile, another community member rescued a tiny, gravely ill kitten and incredibly kept him alive overnight. The next day, he was taken into foster care and headed straight to the emergency vet. It was determined that he was at least 8 weeks old. He was severely malnourished, weighing just over half a pound. He was given antibiotics, a prescription eye ointment, and instructions to keep his body temperature up and feed him as much as he would eat. He was isolated from other animals because of his infections, but he was held periodically for comfort. He was so sick and weak that he could barely move. He didn't make a sound and he couldn't open his eyes. It was hard to tell if he was awake or asleep. But miraculously, and over the course of several days, he made an astounding recovery. He began eating on his own. He began to explore, meow, and purr. His energy increased and the infection cleared up. Bingo was going to be okay. As Bingo continued to improve, Chanterelle continued holding onto her kittens. She had been in foster care for 3 weeks and still no babies. One day, Bingo tagged along in a kitten carrier to see Chanterelle and attend to her daily needs. While filling her food bowl, Bingo let out a little squeak that hit Chanterelle like a shot from Cupid's bow. She instantly started making quizzical little chirrup sounds and looking around frantically. Bingo was placed on the ground to appease her for a moment, and that was it. She took him by the scruff and carried him off to the safety of her little house, purring loudly. Concerned about a pregnant cat having close, extended contact with a potentially lingering contagion, a volunteer reached in to take him back. But Chanterelle, the sweetest, most gentle cat you can imagine, growled, as if to say, "Get away from my baby." It was time for veterinary advice. Was it worth tearing them apart? A blissed-out orphan and the mama who loved him at first sight? The decision was made to keep them together for the time being. Each time they were checked on, they were found together, cuddling and purring contently. About 45 minutes after their first introduction, a volunteer peeked into Chanterelle's little house to find her still cuddling Bingo and nursing 3 just-born kittens. Shocked and urgently concerned about the susceptible newborns, Bingo was removed from the room. Within seconds, Chanterelle left her nest and began crying and scratching at the door. The volunteer returned to the room to find her pacing in panicked distress, with a 4th kitten emerging from her body. Bingo was brought back into the room and near to Chanterelle. She saw and sniffed him, then settled down to finish birthing her baby, a pure white kitten. As soon as she chewed the cord, Chanterelle left her wet, seconds-old kitten on the floor to collect Bingo and place him back in her little house. She promptly returned to retrieve her last baby, then climbed in to settle with all 5 kittens, purring contentedly. And so we have Bingo and the mushrooms. Chanterelle, morel, truffle, porcini, and enoki. Chanterelle couldn't get Bingo to stay inside the house, so she moved the whole family out to the sleeping bag where he was. The blended family is doing well these days.